Good morning. And well, maybe it's not morning when you're listening to this, but it's morning right now as I'm sitting here with Kevin Bird of JM Auto Service of Eveleth, Minnesota. And I'm Brad Hurlock of AA Shop Marketing and your host of the Garage Grit podcast. And so I'm here today to chat with Kevin about his journey here. How did he get here? What lessons did he learn along the way? And also to learn a little bit about his shop and the challenges and that they have and what their next steps are. I'm hoping that you'll be listening in and you'll say, hey, that sounds a lot like me. And you'll get some ideas for your own shop, as well as be inspired to take the next steps in your own journey. And of course, by all means, reach out to us if you want to share that journey on the Garage Grit podcast. So thank you for listening in. And Kevin, thank you for joining us today. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, you bet. Good morning. We'll go with that.
Thank you. It works. So, Kevin, tell us a little bit about your shop and what you have there in Eveleth. What you tell most people aren't from Eveleth, and so why don't you tell them about the area and what the makeup is? Go ahead.
Sure. We're located in a small town in northern Minnesota. We're about an hour north of, I suppose, the next major city you'd know is probably Duluth. Kind of right at the tip of Lake Superior. We're 1 hour north of them. Small town of about 3,200 people, surrounded by somewhere around, I suppose, 20,000 in the neighboring communities that we pull from. I have a 12-bay shop. 9 of those bays do auto repair, and then 3 of them do installs of snowplows. So on your personal vehicle, personal truck, we install Western snowplows.
I'm sorry, you're far enough north that everyone has a plow on the front end of their truck?
We're trying to get everybody to have one. A good number of them do. A lot, very rural, so longer driveways, a lot of ice fishing, things like that. So,
okay, all right. And so we always refer to the plows on trucks, but have you ever put one on a car?
Not yet.
Okay. I don't even know what kind of car would be heavy enough or horsepower what horsepower would be required for something like that, or what kind of rearranging of the bumper you'd have to be able to put it. Have you put it on Jeeps?
Jeeps, yes. Side by sides, things like that. Skid steers. I suppose. I mean, I don't think they make a mount for an El Camino, but that would probably be your next closest car type vehicle.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I feel like I saw a science fiction TV show years back on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it had a ridiculously souped up Dodge Charger, and to the point where it actually had all sorts of extra stuff. I don't think there was actually a plow on the front because it was kind of more of a desert type environment, but it had plenty of extra. It had quite an interesting grid on the front of it, as well as it was all tricked out, and it looked to me as sturdy enough that you could potentially, but it wasn't snow in that particular storyline. But anyway, so the Camino would be potentially interesting. Do you have any interesting pictures of some of those installs, and are those people just doing it for themselves, or are they all also out offering to plow their neighbors?
We've got, I would say, most of our snowplow purchases are residential purchases. We do have
just
some
for their own
accounts,
driveways.
guys that'll go plow at the Target parking lots and some of the neighborhood businesses and things like that. But they usually run several different trucks and sanders and things like that.
Okay. And so they come in, they put it on for the winter, and then they take it off in the spring.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Got it. And can they take it off themselves, or?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
So once it's fitted, you're doing the installation. It's not like a seasonal service that you need to provide them. You get it fitted and then they're good, or you get it maintained or repaired when it needs those types of things, or replacement piece. Okay.
Most of them are put on their daily drivers, so they'll put it on, plow their driveway, and put it back in the garage and take it off and drive their truck around until they need it again.
Okay. I don't even know how much of those plows weigh. I would think that the bigger ones weigh at least 200 pounds.
Yeah, 3 times that. You're in the 500-600 pound range.
So how are they picking it up and putting it on themselves? Not too many.
You just drive into it. It's Western's got a really kind of cutting edge mounting system where it leaves everything the same height, and you basically just drive your truck directly into it, throw a couple levers, hook up a couple of electrical connections, and you're good to go. It's very simple. Takes about
Okay.
3 minutes to take a plow on or off.
Okay. Well, that sounds a lot easier than my tractor,
Right. Oh,
because I
yeah.
actually do have to pick up the plow and put it on and
Yeah.
and mount it when it comes time. Now the frame, that's a different story. I have to put that on separately, and that's not that big of a deal. But eventually you got to lift up the actual blade and rest it onto the mount. So yes, that makes perfect sense. Because if it's just a small blade like I have, it's not going to plow that much. That's the not the quantity that you guys get up there. All right, and so tell us a little bit about you said you told us a little bit about your shop and the area. Tell us a little bit about the customers that you have. What kind of relationships do you have with them? Uh, how long have you been talking with them?
Sure. I bought an existing business a little more than 4.5 years ago. The business has actually been here 30 some odd, 35, 39 years, something like that. And we're on a main thoroughfare. So a lot of our customers, when I took over, were key droppers, extreme repeat customers. They'd just come in, drop their keys, fix whatever we needed, and then they'd pick their vehicles back up. When I took over, I noticed that the mix of customers was really, we didn't have anybody new coming in. So I took a step and did some external marketing, kind of got out there a little bit more and got that percentage a little bit more where it should be, 3/4 returning, 1/4 new customers. And that kind of really opened up a new window for, when somebody walked in, it was somebody you had known, you knew their vehicle, you knew the history of it. My service advisors could tell you everything that was done to that vehicle, even prior to them getting to the service counter. And then it opened it up to some new customers who had never been here before. They didn't know how our processes worked, how our procedures worked, that we had loaner cars available, that they probably shouldn't wait for this type of a repair. They had all kinds of questions, and there's a lot of education that went on with those newer customers as to kind of how to deal with an auto repair, at least at our shop, and what came with the benefits of using our shop over the other shops.
And so I'm kind of curious. You said 75% focus on the returning, 25% new. That was the year one change, or is that kind of the natural turnover that you see? People buying new cars, people relocating to different areas.
Yeah, it was about 90-10 before. So we had just a solid base of returning customers, but of that solid base, like you pointed out, some of them move out of the area, some of them pass away, some of them stop driving, whatever it is that makes them stop needing us. And if we just stayed there, we definitely figured out that it's not a good way to survive. It's taken a few years to kind of bend that a little bit to get some of the new blood in the door. Like I said, there was a big one of the pieces that we didn't account for was the education that we needed to provide prior to just selling a job. We're used to picking up the phone saying you need front brakes and it's going to be $600, to explaining why you need front brakes and sending pictures of the old brakes and keeping the parts again, and providing them transportation back home or a loaner vehicle, or discussions on our warranty. A little bit more of a job in selling rather than just presenting.
Right. Right. And so talk to me real quick about, were you the one doing that salesmanship, or did you have to teach or have people taught in your organization to be doing that communication with the customers? How often were you the one talking to the new customers versus your team?
For the first year, it was me.
Okay.
Right now, I've got 2 sales advisors up front. They handle all of the customer interaction at this point, but it was definitely a growth piece, bringing another person on, making sure that we're both saying the same thing. We've got the same message. Didn't matter who they talked to, they were going to get the same response. And then bring on another service advisor and bringing that person up to speed
Yeah.
with what we had going on also. So
do you occasionally have checks in place over like every 6 months to make sure that you're continuing to have the same consistent messaging with the three of you?
Yeah, daily. Um,
Okay.
yep. I'm in the shop every day. We have meetings every morning and every evening with my 2 service advisors. I've got the ability to listen in on their phone calls. I keep up on some of the text messages that they send back and forth with the customers.
Mm-hmm.
Small community again too. I get a lot of feedback going to Menards and running into some of our customers there about their experience here.
Okay. Nice. Nice. So tell me about your technical stack. You said about text messaging and whatnot. And you also mentioned about how a lot of the technicians would be able to look at a car and be like, yeah, we did this, and this to this car, right? But if it's in their head, it's not very transferable to the other heads. So talk to me about your technical stack. What do you got going on to manage the shop, manage the customers, communicate with the customers?
Sure. We use TechMetric.
Mm-hmm.
We've been with them for almost 3 years now. They've got the ability to, I guess, follow along with the history of all of the repairs that are on the vehicle. A lot of what we do is interactive, so it's the world's gone from getting a phone call and discussing it to a text message that I can approve. They do an excellent job with being able to create a quote, sending it out to the customer, having the customer pick what they want out of the list or approve all of it and send it back to you. We've seen a huge turn time on that. Rather than waiting for a phone call, somebody's in a meeting, I got to ask my dad, my, boyfriend, whatever else, don't really know what I'm looking at, to, well, they're saying it's going to cost $400. The flip side of that coin a little bit is, I want you to replace my ball joints, but I don't want the alignment. So they'll approve a portion of the job, but not the other portion. And that turns into a little bit more interaction and education that, okay, if we're doing this, we have to do this. They should go together. So a
Right.
piece of it there that we do that.
Right. Right. You have to send another reply. I wonder if there's a way to actually down the road, if TechMetric will allow you to actually kind of marry 2 or 3 options. Like you have to do these together, right?
And I'm thinking I could probably bury it in that job and just say, okay, ball joints, alignment, all in the same job. But it's some processes. Most of the time it warrants the discussion, and it's a good education piece for the customer. Gives my my front end staff the ability to do some of that explaining, and it gives the customer a little bit better feel for what we're actually doing to their car.
So there was a podcast that we had. I want to say it was episode 14 or 15. I'm going to see if I can check on the nope. I'm way off. It's actually episode 11, where we talked about the transparency that you have with your customers and how much detail goes on the ticket. And we had one guy on the panel who, like, it's a one line on his entire ticket. It's, we're doing this, and it includes whatever it includes. And so there's fewer options, obviously, to the customer at that point as far as trying to piecemeal. I would imagine, and I kind of want to go back and ask him that question. Um, I'm curious, how detailed are your, like, can I see how much you're charging me for windshield wiper fluid?
Windshield wiper fluid is complimentary here, but I understand what your question is.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah, air is free at our shop too.
Okay, okay.
There's been a real shift in that. We were with Mitchell to start with, and we had a whole bunch of canned jobs, and we had everything storied out so that if I handed you your ticket, you could read exactly how the process went and exactly what we did, from pulled vehicle into shop, lift it up on hoist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, perform this repair, test drove
Sneezed.
prior to, no check engine lights. And it was a whole story.
Yeah.
We've literally watched the world change where nobody, at least in our area, nobody really cares about any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
My car is making a weird noise and now it's not. Okay, what did they do?
Right.
Let me take a look. It says new brakes.
Right. Right. When I hit this button, the plow actually goes up with the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
That's it.
Our alignment machine prints out the report, the before and after. That's a piece we don't even share. It just provides more confusion for our customers. Is kind of, some people ask for it and we present it. We're not trying to hide anything. I'll bring people right back in the shop, say parts for them, if they want to see why this was bad. TechMetric again has the ability to put videos right in their inspection. So we do quite a bit of that. Here's the nail that was in your tire. Here's how your tire was wearing funny. This is your ball joint that wiggles. There's a video of it you can click on and look at. That builds a ton of trust and transparency, if you want to use that word, that anybody can take that video and show somebody that's their car guy. It says it's doing this. Yeah, that needs to be fixed. So we've gotten to the point where we still story out a lot of our repairs, but it's kind of secondary to building the trust of your customer. We're in the trust business. I've said that since I took over.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so since you took over on day one, were the key drop off people, did any of them flinch? Well, it's a new owner. I'll just see how it goes on the first time, or did they want to talk to you first, or they just continued the trust because of the name was kept?
We did kind of a soft transition. In fact, the old owner still works at our shop. He handles
Okay.
a lot of kind of some of the behind the scenes thing, but he went from an owner of 39 years to an employee on day one. We joke with him that, okay, it's time for your review. He said, I haven't had a review in 39 years. I'm not having one now. So, it was kind of just a different face at the front counter. Small town again, it doesn't take long for the news to get out and everything else, but we didn't do this big grand opening or anything in the newspaper or anything on the street corner under new ownership or anything else. We just kind of let it transition by itself. The shop I took over had a great name to it. It had a lot of credibility. So that helped a ton. I don't know if the shop was on the other side of that coin, how I would have handled it. Do you change the name? Do you go through the steps of saying, yes, this was them, now we're different? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the evolution was also not overnight. It was in stages. And so the customer
Yep. It
continued to
was,
see
like I said, it was
improvement
kind of
as
gradual,
opposed
and
to,
then
right. Nice.
it was definitely interesting going from the phone ringing and they'd ask for me for some of the tickets to the phone ringing and they asked for one of my guys for tickets. It's like, nobody cares about me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, and I also find it very interesting as someone who has been their own boss for 39 years. What does that look like? Do you give them a lot of free reign, or do they have to follow the processes? And forgive me if I'm actually saying causing a little bit of angst by even having this conversation, but I'm really curious about that dynamic, the interpersonal dynamic of boss to employee.
yeah, it was interesting for the first year,
Okay.
because change is hard, and when you've done something the same way for that long, it gets even more difficult. One of the first things we did is we completely blew out the front office. It looked like an auto shop up there. It had the little thing that you crank the wheel and the oil goes up the gears. It had the strut machine that the kids would hang on and pump on the struts. And we took pretty much everything out of there and we kind of changed it into a living room. Big comfy couches, a place to put your feet up, replaced the 3-year-old magazines with
Video games.
it's lost here.
I said video games. The 3-year-old magazines with video games.
There we go. Okay. Are you back?
I said the 3-year-old magazines with video games, but you were saying what you were going to replace
Yep.
the 3-year-old.
I lost video here. So 3-year-old magazines
okay.
with Wi-Fi for the customers. We provided, snacks and drinks and everything else. And it gave it more of a, like I say, a living room feel than an auto shop feel. Even that piece for the previous owner was a big change and we didn't do anything. A coat of paint, some comfy chairs, and a different location for some of the TVs. And we have a good relationship. So it was good conversations. And once he figured out that all these changes I was making were in the best interests of the building that still has his name on it, it got softer and softer. And when I took over, he at any point said, if you don't want me here, you just say the words. So there's that piece of it too. It got a little bit more interesting when I started changing things back of house. Moving oil filters closer to where they do oil changes, getting rid of synthetic oil and just going to or semi-synthetic and going to fully synthetic. Some of these incremental changes. I'm going to add a lift. We got to cut concrete out now. So some of that stuff got even more personal because he was a technician before he was a shop owner. So it was kind of how he had everything set up. Same end result though, as if, once he figured out that everything we were doing was kind of for the betterment of how the shop was running. It kind of went from a little bit of a shop that was a neutral to one that's actually firing on all cylinders. So.
How many employees were there before you took it over?
There was 3.
And how many of those 3, I'm sorry, are you counting the owner as one of those 3 or 3 plus?
3 technicians.
So total 4.
Yep.
How many of those 3 stayed after and for how long? So what I'm wondering is, was there at every point a kind of like a coup? No, we used to do it this way and we liked it this way, right? Or was it just him who was trying to struggle with the changes?
No, there's I added one. I lost one of the of those original 3. There's one that's still left, and he's actually the owner's son, which is interesting. Another dynamic there. Yep. Which actually has never been said, which is good, at least not to me anyway. So, and the other 2, one of them stuck around for about a year. The other one's about 3 years, something like that. So, neither of them left with any malice or anything else. The transition was pretty smooth with the technicians. It was literally, hey, as of tomorrow, your paycheck's going to have a different name on it. You guys are all still part of this team. Nothing's going to change with your pay, your benefits, anything that really matters on a day-to-day basis. And we're going to grow together.
Why is the name on the check having a different name?
Well, because it's my business now instead of his business. It's yeah.
Right.
Literally, that was the only difference to the technician.
Right. Got it. Okay. And you're meeting with the service advisor or sales advisors, as you refer to them, as on a daily basis, morning and the end of the day. How often are you meeting with the rest of the team?
We do a morning meeting. Morning meeting before we get started every day. I just go over some of the highlights, like, hey, I've got a podcast today at 10.
Okay. Okay.
And then just kind of some of the waiters or what we have coming in or whatever else. We get a quick update from the technicians on where they're at on some of the jobs.
Okay.
Are we waiting for a part for this? I'm having trouble getting this bolt out. Can somebody take a look at this electrical diagnostic with me? So it's kind of an open discussion. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So if they need help with something, they're raising their hand. But what about, are they all buddies? Are they all friends? I mean, everyone knows everyone. It's a small town, right? So everyone knows everyone's business to some regard, but, yeah. Do they hang out outside of work?
Some of them do. They'll go fishing together or, 4-wheeling or golfing in a tournament together or things like that.
Nice.
I got a couple of guys that really kind of keep to themselves, which is fine too. They're just not super outgoing people in general, but.
Okay. Are you a golfer as well? I'm sorry. Let me back up. Do you own clubs?
I do. Yeah. And 2 golf carts, but that doesn't qualify me as a golfer.
Right. Right. I'm not asking if you're under 100 on your, or what your handicap is. I'm asking you. Yeah. Do you go once a year?
No, we go, I live about a mile from a golf course. So.
Okay. Got it. All right. So you don't even.
I'll be in the 90s, but I still don't think it's any good.
I got to tell you, there's a lot of people who for the longest time, I actually was, when I broke 100, I was pretty excited, but even still, I enjoy doing it, right? I enjoy being out there. And people, in my area think it's a little bit strange, but I like going in February. Now that's probably not possible where you're at, but the ground isn't necessarily covered with snow where I'm at. It's cold. It's probably in like the high 30s or low 40s on that Indian summer week in the middle of our winter, and I think it's great. You just put on a little bit of music in your ear, just, and then you just kind of, put on your winter clothing and go for a walk basically by yourself. It doesn't matter when you completely shank it into the adjacent fairway.
Right.
You can just shank it. You're not interrupting anybody. You just shank it right
Nobody's
back.
there to see it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Don't take the GoPro. There's no point. Anyway. All right. So I love that you guys have that relationship. There are people that are hanging out afterwards. Do you hang out with them at all?
I try and keep that separate.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And that's on purpose. We'll see each other at city festivals. We do a couple of team activities. We'll do speaking of golf, we do a mini golf every summer with their families and things like that. So we get together and do a mini golf tournament. Okay. We give away the coveted wrench, which I should have done. If I were going to do it again, I'd make it a traveling trophy. But I get a great big wrench and get it engraved as for the champion of the mini golf. And then in the winter, we do like we call it a Christmas party after Christmas. It gets really busy here in December. January, it's not as busy.
Okay.
So we'll have our Christmas party, but it's going to be in January. So
yeah. Okay. Nice. Very, very nice. And what does that look like? Just to get together at a local restaurant, you rent out the back room?
Yeah, and we try and go super fancy with that, and we do like just +1, so it's you and whoever you choose to bring, no kids, and kind of keep it an adult only deal, and it's prime rib and steak and desserts and fancy cocktails and whatever else too. So
nice. Yeah, the previous owner is probably not upset about that. That change was probably
percent. He's yeah.
Okay. What's the plan going forward? What does next look like? I'm wondering. I kind of want to get in the mind of the previous owners, the son of the previous owner. I'm kind of curious to hear on. Like, is he thinking one day that he wants to own his own shop?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
And that was kind of the deal with selling the business was the previous owner was asked his son about handing it down and whatever else, and his son didn't want anything to do with kind of the business end of it or running, kind of the business piece of it, and was much happier being the technician piece. So that's where that came in, I guess.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Because it is a very different vocation. Business ownership, shop ownership is very different from actually turning the wrench itself. So it's a lot of times on the smaller shops, the two conflate. And you even mentioned before we started recording that there's a handful of local competitors that are 2-bay shops or 1-bay shops, and they're trying to do both pieces, and that's not the easiest thing to do. Because they are very different vocations, right? Now you haven't turned a wrench. That's not been your background.
No, my background is I have a degree in industrial technology from one of the colleges in the area here, which I joke is it's a degree in shop, but and I'm no stranger to being in the garage. I can do a lot of the repairs, but I didn't come out of the field. I was a quality lab manager for one of the steel mines here and done that for 10 years. I had a friend that used to put in remote starters at this auto repair shop, and the owner at that point asked if there was anybody he thought that might be interested in buying it out. Ended up with a conversation that turned into a 1 year later purchase agreement. So
you weren't even, hey, I want to go own a business. It was actually presented to you as an idea, and then you considered it.
No, I was, hey, I want to go own a business. I had done the corporate thing for quite a while.
Okay.
I worked for U.S. Steel, a great company. Don't have anything negative to say about it. One of the big employers in our area. It was just time to do something different. You get kind of drugged down by some of that corporate end of it, especially from a salaried position, and wanted to own a business, just didn't know what.
What year did the movie Office Space come out? Do you know that movie?
1989.
By the smile, you know the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Was it 90? 1990 something.
maybe. Yeah. What
I'm
exactly is it
gonna
you
look
say
it.
you do here?
Yes. 1999.
Okay.
1999. And so, yes. So let me ask you a question. When you were watching that movie, could you relate to just parts of it at least? And again, it's no negative on U.S. Steel. It's actually a commentary on corporations in general. So go ahead.
Corporations in general, yeah. So usually slide in the back door so the Bobs don't see me, right? It's yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I actually was working for a larger company, back then as well. And I didn't even know how to respond to my reality, which was after watching that movie over the weekend, I came into work and I actually had 4 different bosses come up to me complaining about the formatting of my sales spreadsheet from the week before.
TPS report.
My version of the TPS report
Yep.
was misformatted, and all 4 different of my bosses needed to tell me exactly why it was wrong. And I was in sales, and in my 20s, and I was a little bit of a confident is a polite way of saying how I felt about it. But my attitude was, it doesn't matter. I'm still at the top in this entire department, so leave me alone, right? And so, so I don't know. Uh, do you have that dynamic at your shop? Do you have any technicians who are like, I'm an A-level tech, and it's my way. I know what I'm talking about.
No. I'm gonna go with no. I
Okay.
hire a lot based
Is
on
that because, I'm
culture.
sorry, real quick. Is that because they're going to be watching this later on, or is that because that's actually the
Right,
answer?
yeah.
No, seriously, go ahead.
No, the guys get along pretty well, and they help each other out when asked and when needed, and that's a big piece of it. And I guess to me, I hire off culture versus maybe ability. It's nice when both those pieces come together. But we've got a great culture here. Like I said, everybody seems to they want to help. They want to see the other technicians succeed. The technicians that have more experience and more knowledge are willing to share a lot of that knowledge with some of the newer people that are in the shop or newer to the industry. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect anywhere, but I feel we've got a really good vibe here.
Yeah. Are you hiring right now?
Yeah, I could use at least one more tech.
Okay. And based on what you said, you would be fine with a C-level technician who wanted to be in this space for the next 20 years, right? Who wanted to learn, who did not want to stay and a tire changer, who wanted to actually learn different things. Or do you need someone who is a diagnostic specialist? What are you looking for that one person?
You kind of need the right mix.
So the mix is more important. It doesn't matter what knowledge base they have currently. You
Yeah,
actually
I
get, as
mean,
long as they fit with your team.
you could fill it up with a bunch of guys that have a lot of hunger and only have done work in their own personal garage, and it just gets difficult because there needs that mentorship there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe on the other end of that thing, if you have a shop full of A-techs, you kind of argue about doing tire swaps or
Right.
some of the entry level position things. So,
All right. So an A-level technician coming to your door is not a disqualifier. Neither is a C-level technician. Whether they are or aren't certified is not. It's will they fit with the people? And we had a panel, episode 17, where we talked about the one person on the panel talked about how they just go with their gut on how who might fit, and the other one had a little bit more of a structured process, whereas they conduct the first round of interviews and then the team conducts the final rounds, or multiple rounds of interviews. You can go check out that episode 17, if you want to hear more on that. But I'm kind of curious, Kevin, how are you doing it? You said that you want to make sure that it fits. How are you making sure that they actually fit?
yeah, I go with my gut. It's
Gut
been
gut.
wrong before, but not very often.
Okay.
You can usually tell you bring somebody in for an interview, kind of where they're at. I take some pretty
Mm-hmm.
good notes, and I'm not afraid to say, hey, I don't have a position for you right now, but can I keep your resume and reach back out a year later, 2 years later?
Mm.
Hey, where you at? You still looking? Whatever else. technicians do the same. Here's my personal cell phone number. Got any questions? Give a call. Out of the blue, you may get something, a year later saying, you hiring? I'm looking today. So
Yeah, right. Because something happened at their shop that they just
Sure.
said, I've had enough,
Yep.
or wherever they're at. And so when's the last time you had a technician leave you?
I had one put in his 2 weeks on Monday. So
Okay. Recently.
Yeah.
So two
Yep.
days ago.
Yep.
All right. And so is that's the spot that you're trying to fill, or
Correct.
now you have two spots? That's the spot
Yep.
you're trying to fill. Okay. And you have developed over the last several years a list of possible. So have you been reaching out to them? Hey, Harry, Bob, whatever. Are you still looking? Is
Yep.
that process already started for you, or do you put the word out on Facebook? Like what are your next steps?
What I was doing prior to this
Okay.
interview.
Okay.
I go low tech and high tech. I've got basically 3 different folders: a green one, a yellow one, and a red one for yes, maybe, and no.
Okay.
And as I do the interviews, I try and interview as much as I can. Somebody's interested, I'll take them through the shop. I'll show them what they have going on, what we have going on. Get
No, I
some
want to clarify. That's an always thing, or is that just a right now while you're in the mode process?
every day.
The reason you have all those files of yes, no, and maybes are they? Is it because you've talked to them 6 months ago? You walked into the shop and we'll let you know when we have something, or is it that's the yes, no, or maybe start when you are trying to fill a vacancy?
No, it's an everyday thing. I'm
Always,
not just
you're
saying
always
that.
interviewing.
Literally, my day starts on Indeed.
Okay. Even before this past Monday.
Yeah, and remember, I live in the woods. I mean, I don't have a very big pool to draw from. So, my biggest piece is I want to be first. If somebody updates their resume, I want to be the first person to contact them.
Okay.
Hey, we've got this. When can you stop in? I'll stay late. I'll come in on Saturday. Everything's confidential.
Right. Huh.
So
Interesting. Well, with that much personal data on that many people, I mean, are you going to run for mayor?
No.
Okay. All right. So stick to shop ownership. Got it.
Yep.
All right. So, and that's an everyday thing. So that's an interesting point to make, right? Because a lot of times people are like, okay, I'm fully staffed. I'm good for a little bit. No, don't take the pedal. Don't take your foot off the pedal, right? And that actually that applies to customers as well as hiring. It sounds like for you, is the idea that never stop marketing, never stop hiring.
Yeah.
Keep those wheels turning at all times, so that it's easier when it needs to actually have the press down on the gas a little bit. You're not going from 0 to 60 and counting the time.
You can add training to that list too. And I see that as my job as the owner. It's funny you preface it that way. To me, it's training, marketing, and hiring is what my job is here. And cars, that's the marketing piece. As long as the cars are here, as long as the people are here to work on it, and as long as they're getting training on how to do some of the procedures, that's my job as an owner.
That's interesting. Now, some shop owners who have that mindset, they take it to the point where they're designing their own website. They're making sure that they're doing all the posts on social media. They're making sure that their SEO is improved, which is interesting to me coming from a marketing background, because I know how deep into the weeds you can get, right? And so my question to you is and I'm going to ask this on all 3 fronts, right? On those 3, how deep into the weeds do you get into each one versus you're going to delegate this piece of it and you're just going to manage that it's happening correctly? Like, I don't think you created your own website.
No.
Okay. So there's the question. So let's start with the marketing. I'm sorry, what were the 3 jobs? It was marketing, as in your mind, as far as the shop owner goes, it was marketing, hiring, and training. So you were saying that in your mind, the shop owner has 3 responsibilities. It's to make sure that the training is happening, to make sure that the marketing is happening, and make sure the hiring is happening. And so my question back to you is, I'd like to go into each of those areas and learn how much of it that you are delegating and managing versus actually doing. And so you already said that you didn't design the website that you have now, right? But you made sure that it was done the way you wanted it done. So let's talk about marketing first. how far or how much of the marketing are you actually doing versus managing and making sure that it happens?
We played around a lot with the marketing. That goes back to our discussion on new customers versus existing, on what was going to work. And a lot of it is throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks. We do mailers. We do some social media posts. We did some Google AdWords. We went low tech with like coupons and raffle baskets and things like that. Found that in our area, what works best for us are the mailers, number one. So we do mailers about every 8 weeks. You get something in the mail from us, and it's usually something seasonal. Football season starts, or it's time to snow, or springtime specials, or whatever else.
Okay. So those are all coupon focused.
Coupon driven. Yep.
Okay. And
Google
it's to
AdWords,
customers, or is it to everybody?
Say again.
Is it to customers or is it to everybody?
We do it to everybody, our whole area.
Okay. Including the customers.
Yes. Yep. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We did the Google AdWords thing. Found out we really didn't need to. We show up where we're supposed to show up. We're in the top whatever percent of, clicks and everything else. So we kind of stopped doing that. We really focused on our Google reviews.
You stopped, or you focus on them? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Asking for them at the counter, adding a piece to our TechMetric that will actually send out a reminder. Hey, can you leave us a review?
Mm-hmm.
And at this point now, it took us 4 years, but we have the most amount of reviews in the area and a 4.8 rating. So, that was a push up from a 4.2.
Yeah. Yeah. Now there's another good process where it's just good to keep it steady, keep it going.
Yeah. Yep.
From a Google perspective, I don't know that Google cares that you have 50 or 5,000. And I'm overstating that. I'm exaggerating a little bit to describe it that way. But I will tell you that Google cares more that you are getting them steadily. So it's more important that you're getting X number per week and it stays that way than it is that you have 50 versus 5,000. Now, of course, you're going to end up with 5,000 at the so many per week, but so you're getting there. But Google cares about new content, and a review is new content. And I'm guessing that you take the time to, forgive me if I'm overstepping, but I'm guessing you take the time to respond to the reviews when you can. Thanks, Harry, for, or thanks, Bob for, okay. So, I don't know why I keep going back to Bob's and Harry's. I should probably come up with a different name. But anyway, so when I'm talking to a Bob, I say Kevin, by the way, just so that you know. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So, but again, you knew that you kind of paid attention to the marketing. You were kind of the marketing manager to some degree and you have people for the artwork for the mailers, and you have people for determining the list, or buying that list and making sure that it's up to date. And you're not the one handling the bounce rates, or are you? If you get an undeliverable message back, like an undeliverable piece of mail back in the U.S. mail because it wasn't delivered, are you updating the list, or is that being done for you by the company that's sending it out?
We do all that.
You do it in-house? Yep. And are you personally the one doing it?
Yeah. It's very limited.
Okay. All right. So you're keeping up in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that? Yep. Or is that also in TechMetric spreadsheet? And I'm not surprised to hear about the Google AdWords. The nature of your community, the population density. I don't think I would have recommended the AdWords to begin with. There are other types of ads that make sense online for you, but potentially, just Google AdWords in general. I'm not surprised to hear that story from you. You don't have a ton of competition, so it's easy to end up in the top 3 on Google Maps and those types of things. So that also is advantageous. And I think you mentioned, or maybe you didn't mention, or maybe I just knew this from our prior conversation, you're on a major highway. You're on a major thoroughfare to get there. Now, if I go out to your website right now, the first thing that pops up is detour instructions. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what's going on with the detour?
That's been our whole summer. They're taking out a stoplight and putting in a roundabout out front, which basically shut down everything directly in front of our shop. To get to us, you have to go side roads, bumpy roads, portions of dirt roads. Sometimes they're open, sometimes they're closed. So we were really nervous about what that was going to do to our business and everything else.
Yeah.
It really didn't slow any of it down, to tell you the truth.
Good.
Auto repair waits for no one. I don't know what it is.
Well, some of the roads, the bouncy roads or bumpy roads that are going to be closed, they're going to be less likely to be plowed. Are you going to take the effort to make sure that they're clear so that your customers can get to you? Or is the roundabout going to be done before winter hits?
Should be done here in 2 weeks. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Do you have a lot of faith that it will be?
Yeah, it's actually been kind of fun to watch. We get all kinds of, instead of traffic going by, we have excavators and concrete laying equipment and skid steers, and so it's been kind of an interesting summer, to say the least. So,
what's going up in the middle of it?
Middle of the roundabout?
Yeah,
I think they're just going to put dirt there.
Well, sometimes they put trees, sometimes they put bushes, sometimes they put a statue.
Yeah, nothing.
I'm thinking a giant Merry Christmas sign from JM Auto.
Yep. Inflatable snowman or something, or yeah.
Right. Yeah, why not? They're right there to the JM Auto Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, whatever you want to say, right? So, and then when the government comes over to you, I don't know who put that there. Someone just they must have been a prank. I don't know. Anyway, so there's no particular design that you know of that will go there. Just a grassy hill.
Yeah, just a grassy hill. They're not quite done to that portion yet, but it's just a big dirt mound at this point.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. I absolutely can see a single pine tree there for the holiday season. That sounds, a Christmas tree would look nice, I think. But I'm not there. You tell me. But I've seen some roundabouts where they try to do too much in the middle, and then you can't see the cars coming around the circle. So you got to be careful with that too. All right. So you're looking forward to the roundabout, or do you have your doubts that it'll be an effective traffic tool?
It's nice because it forces everybody to slow down up front of the shop. If you have a green light, you fly right by.
Okay.
A little bit of question on how effective the area drivers are in roundabouts, but that might be fun to watch too.
Listen, if you want to get on another podcast, maybe you can reach out to John Stossel. I know he has a whole video about how roundabouts are safer and more effective and more efficient. I don't know if you know the name John Stossel or not. But, okay, so invite him up to your area after you've had a video camera running for about 48 hours.
Might be more for America's Funniest Home Videos, but.
Right. And then maybe consider a collision shop on the other side of the roundabout. I don't know. This is all right. Marketing. So you're doing some of the details, but you're delegating a lot of it. And because of the population density, some of it's actually just been a little bit easier on you. I know I've talked and I worked with shops who are in major metros, and they've got 10 competitors within a mile, right, or more.
Yep.
And then there's only going to be 3 in that map pack on a Google map search, and so they're constantly battling for that space. Well, all right, so that's working for you. Now let's talk about the hiring side. How much of the weeds are you getting into on the hiring side? Again, there was the 3 things that you think a shop owner should be doing, right? It was marketing, the hiring, and the training. Talk to me about the level of detail versus the level of delegating that you're doing.
Sure. The hiring, I do all of that myself. It's all internal. My day starts out on Indeed. It's just a quick search. It's really easy once you've done it from the previous day to search in the last day who's updated what. Not afraid to reach out to people at a distance. Hey, we're quite a ways away from you, but if you wanted to stop by, I can show you the shop. I get some decent feedback there. A little bit goes back to the reviews too. It's not uncommon for the guys to come in on an interview and say, "Oh, I checked out your Google, and I see you guys got good reviews." So that it's not just a marketing piece; it's a hiring piece. Don't overlook
the marketing is a hiring.
If you're sitting at a 3.5, there's a technician that's looking at that prior to him even walking in the door.
That's right. A lot of times they're also looking at your social media.
Yes. Yep.
And so if you're posting about the shop culture, if you're selling the shop culture and how great it is to work there, and you're posting that on Facebook, a couple things can happen for your shop. One is that you could actually weed out the people that don't fit, because they can say, I don't fit there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they won't even bother. Other ones will say, hey, that looks like me, or that looks fun. So I'm hopeful, and I don't know if this would be the case. I'd have to look it up. You tell me, are you posting pictures of the mini golf tournament about it on your Facebook page? And if not, maybe start considering that. The Christmas party that you do, maybe start doing that. If they're looking like they're having fun and enjoying each other while working, capture that and post it from time to time, and that actually will help your customers. That your customers will like that as much as your respective employees. That's what I like to say.
Yep,
For the hiring,
I take care of all of that also.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Good. Let's talk about the training piece. What are you using for training, and how are you making sure? And are you the one doing the training, or are you hiring a trainer or a program?
The training piece is probably the hardest for me because I'm not a technician. I don't necessarily know what they want to learn, how they learn best, everything else. So we do a lot of webinars provided by some of the other services that are out there. Every day I get a new webinar that's coming up on TPMS sensors or ignition coils or batteries or starters or, ball joints or whatever else. So we do those. We reference a couple of our vendors. We do a lot of work with BG. So we've done demos. Those seem to be a pretty big deal in the shop. They'll come up, they'll want to demo one of their new flush machines. They'll demo one of their products, some of their oil change things. This is the process for doing this. Here's what the oil looked like before you use our chemicals. Here's what it looks like now. Here's the conditioning piece we put in it. So we lean on some of our vendors for some of that stuff. And there's some ASE training, some training through Napa that we do. Napa is one of our big suppliers of parts. So there's a training piece they have also. And it's, we try to do every week. We all sit down for a half hour to 45 minutes and go through either one of the videos or, like I say, a Zoom call training, something like that. So.
All right. Interesting. So you're not necessarily sending them away. It's a lot of it's taking advantage of technology and doing it right there. All right. Good. And are you actually measuring how often they're, hey, back to the Harrys, Harry, are you, you haven't participated in any of these trainings in, X time period. So you're due by, or do they know that going in, they have to do so many per month or per week or per quarter?
I usually schedule it. We had one yesterday at 1:00. So and then for my service advisors, we use a training called SalesFix. It's through the ShopFix group, ShopFix Academy.
Yep. Right.
So we use a SalesFix, and that's kind of a more concentrated course on selling and rejection management and things like that. It gives them some more tools, kind of a community to ask questions in.
Okay. I'm sorry. Is that you send them away for that, or is that also online?
It's online. It's kind of Zoom call based. They have calls every week, and then there's some self-paced training.
I'm sorry. So I'm picturing a lunchroom, and there's like 5 guys in there with a camera up front, or each one has their own computer or their own laptop, and are checking it out. What's going on?
Yep.
Which one?
Yeah, it's the lunchroom with the TV up in front.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And let's see here. I'm just thinking that through. How much pushback do you get from those training? Or I'm thinking again back to the previous owner.
I probably don't get enough pushback, to tell you the truth. I'm still trying to work through the guys and saying, "Oh, that was dumb." I don't get a lot of that feedback. Some of it's, well, that's okay. I'd rather have them tell me, we really like trainings like this. We don't really like trainings like this. And everybody's a little bit different. So some of it's we're still trying to outline what that looks like.
Okay. All right. So you would like to get more feedback from them as far as what types of things that they want.
Sure. Yep.
Do you have one-on-one meetings with them to interview them on where they're at?
We do.
But back to the hiring, if we could actually add to the hiring, it's actually personnel management, which includes hiring
Yep.
as one of their owner responsibilities. And so personnel management, are you having any kind of, well, you mentioned the previous owner said, does he go by JM or what's his first name?
John is his first name.
John. Okay. So John was like, I haven't had a review in 39 years. Right.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned that you do reviews.
Yep.
How often are you doing those reviews? And what does that conversation look like?
Yeah. I try to talk to my guys once every other month, just kind of a one-on-one, pull them out of the bay, come into the office. Hey, how's it going? Am I missing anything? Anything else you're interested in? One of the most interesting one-on-ones I did, I asked each one of the guys, do you like working here? And a lot of technicians don't ever get talked to like that. I found that out pretty quickly. It's like, yeah. And then you could tell just by body language, kind of what they were thinking, how they were feeling. Okay. And then that usually sparks a little bit more conversation. Sometimes I'll give them a topic. Okay, guys, this month's one-on-ones is goals. And you can give me, I need one of your goals. And I don't care if it's, I want to buy a bass boat or it's, I really want to learn how to, change an engine. So I want to have some sort of piece that you want to be working towards. So, and like I say, I've found a lot of technicians, I've never been asked questions like that. It's just come into work, do your job and go home. Not what do you want to do?
So have you tried asking them their opinion on the training during those one-on-ones?
Not
training,
directly, but that might be the next piece of it.
Right. And be specific with it too, right? I mean, don't maybe allow for some open-ended, but I think the more specific you are with those questions, the more you can actually then widen it after they initially respond.
Yeah.
I feel like if you just kind of say, hey, did you like it? And they're like, yeah, it was fine. Like, okay, conversation's over. No, you gotta drill in a little bit deeper than that, right? That's interesting. That's good. That's I can appreciate that. All right. So what's next for the shop?
We went through our growth phase, and now what I tell the guys in our one-to-many meetings, we do a monthly meeting, kind of pull everybody in that same break room again, is we're in our consistency phase. I'm getting really dialed in on how we're doing our inspections. How do we answer the phone? How do we quote our jobs? What do we consider a bad part versus a part we should monitor? How quickly can we get cars turned through our shop, and where are the slow pieces that we can try and eliminate? It's a lot more process driven than growth driven right now.
Okay. All right. And what's the end result of that process dialed? I mean, to some degree, there's always room for improvement, right? So you can spend the rest of your life there and still be kind of refining it. Like I would think. And as new technologies come into view, that also changes things as far as what the training looks like and, what knowledge base needs to happen with the technicians. But after that process, Pierce, that's what's currently on the immediate horizon. What's beyond the horizon? What's next after that? All right, you know what? I'm going to say it this way. What are your goals? You could tell me you want to buy a bass boat, or you could tell me you want to change an engine.
I can't buy a boat. If I buy a boat, I'm going to have to get a dog too. And I don't want a dog. So, that's a much longer discussion. My goal, I want to have a top performing shop. I want to have one of the top performing shop. I want to have a list of people waiting to work here versus going to try and find them. As soon as you have an opening, I'm your guy. That's one of my goals, I guess. I want to make sure that all the guys here are working towards their goals instead of just coming to work and going home. Because I think they're kind of the heart of the business. And without a technician here, it gets really hard to fix a car. So I think a lot of these guys can't see the forest through the trees. It's out of their realm to buy a new snowmobile or a new bass boat or, even put a down payment on a house or something like that. So if I can provide a business that does that, and then from a customer side, piece. The vision here has always been same day auto care. Drop your car off in the morning and maybe not have it repaired by the end of the day. We do live in the woods. Sometimes it's hard to get parts, or there's, back orders or anything else, but at least know what's wrong with it, know what it's going to cost to fix it, and know when we should have it back to you. You're going to need new camshafts in your Dodge Durango. They're on back order for a month. Here's a loaner car. Does that get your kids to hockey practice? Well, that solved all my problems in that one, conversation. So
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about your loaner car process. I'm just, and there's another episode that we actually visited. I want to say it was episode 13. And the one shop owner, he had started a separate business just for rentals.
Yep.
Like he had a different business name and everything like that, because he found that the insurance was a little bit of a headache if he actually was doing. You're nodding your head. So why don't you talk a little bit and then the other guests were kind of we use Enterprise down the street versus we just shuttle our own guys. Here's the keys, the shuttle, the next tech available will go drive you home. Tell me about your loaner situation. What do you guys look at?
Literally just moved all of our loaner cars out of the parent company into its own company on Monday. I spent an hour and a half at the DMV, which is exactly how you think it would go.
Hour and a half?
Yeah, well, I got there early. So DMV is standing out there and locking the door with them, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Our loaner cars are free to our customers to use. We just ask that they put gas in it, be over 25 years old, don't smoke in it or bring any pets, and have valid insurance and a driver's license. What I'm going to end up doing is creating a lease agreement between the two companies that we're actually leasing the cars from the loaner car company to use here. There's that liability piece that's there, and an insurance piece and everything else. That's what I'm currently working on. Our loaner cars are 10 years old. They have 160 some odd thousand miles on them. They're basic transportation. They get you to and from where you're going. They have a small sticker with our logo on it, so it's not this big courtesy car, courtesy shuttle thing you're embarrassed to drive around in.
Right.
And it's a big piece of our business. Some people just want to ride home. I got a car at home. Some people don't even. That's the only vehicle they have is the one they're dropping off. So.
Oh, and I think it's interesting you touched on something there, that there's something to be said about over marketing the courtesy shuttles and versus the subtleness of this was brought to you by.
Yeah. Right.
So that's really, and the way you framed it was that they don't want to be embarrassed. That's, I'm almost curious now to talk to, and I haven't, those who drive those around. How embarrassed are they? Have you ever had to drive one of those around?
Our own shuttles or a shuttle in general?
one of those shuttles that were advertising for somebody else that you were,
The nice piece of that was the ones that they used to have were just a magnet. You could peel a magnet off and throw it in the trunk and then drive it around like a normal car. So it was...
Okay. So yes, we would not appreciate that. Got it.
Right.
And it does not sound like you have a consistent fleet. It's just a bunch of different cars of different makes and models, and it's going to be whatever's available to that person at that time, right? So does the person get to pick, or they just get to hand it them? Here's a Honda Accord, go at it.
No, we have a consistent fleet, and it's we try to find things that have multiple seats and multiple seat belts, and something a little bit larger to haul kids around in hockey gear and everything else that needs to go with it.
So it's not usually a sedan; it's usually or an oversized sedan or an SUV. Or
they're usually cars that get abandoned because they have a blown motor. Our customers are like, I don't need this car anymore, and it's like, well, I'll buy it for a nominal price, and we end up putting an engine in it and getting it back running. So.
Right. Okay. How many cars do you have? Loaner?
7.
Okay. How often are they utilized?
If there's any of them here, I ask the guys why they're not using them.
Oh.
We try to keep them in use, to tell you the truth. No different than a torque wrench in a technician's toolbox. This is the torque wrench that I give to the front office.
Right.
If they're here, it's because they're not being presented as a solution to a problem.
Okay. Nice.
Most people don't take them, but we like to offer, and you'll get the story. And some of the guys know, and sometimes they get requested. I need a loaner car. Well, we can do that for you. Next one that comes in is yours.
Well, I think it's I think it's appropriate to. I don't think people necessarily know that they should be asking or saying, "I need a loaner car," right? Like it's like you said. How often is it being offered as a possible option?
Yeah. Yep.
And it's going to continue to be free, or are you going to, now that you've got a separate entity, are you going to try to grow the fleet and then actually try to rent for a fee?
No. The only thing I might do is get a little bit more strict on the gasoline. They leave full, they come back full. Sometimes they come back half full.
Yeah.
And it's, $20 in gas every time. You do that times 7.
Yeah. No, I get that. And that's, every day, right? Or every week.
Yep.
But I'm still thinking about, all right, so this new company is only going to have one client. I wonder if that's an issue from, any kind of accounting type. I don't know the answer to that. I wonder if I'm just thinking out loud as far as from a business perspective, like, do we want to one day expand upon that just so that you have 2 clients or 3 clients? I wonder if you could actually take it to the other shops in the area and say, hey, use my rental service. Raise the bar for everybody. My customers are going to still come to us because they love us, they trust us. They don't come to us for the loaner car, right? So you don't have to worry about that being a competitive advantage. All right, well, good. Thank you for the time on this call. We've talked about a bunch of different things, and I feel like we actually kind of zoned in or honed in on a handful of kind of game-changing ideas, and I think it's probably appropriate for you to. I know a little bit about your story that wasn't shared today. That year time period that you were considering buying the shop, you did your homework by joining a coaching group. And so you probably continue to get ideas on how to sharpen your shop from that coaching group. You want to speak a little bit about that experience and how it continues to help you improve today?
Yeah, I can touch base on that. I bought my shop in May of 21. I actually joined ShopFix in January of 21. So it was, 5 months prior to even purchasing a shop. I figured if I was going to get involved with something and take a leap from a really good paying job to a kind of a little bit of an unknown, I'd better reference people that know what they're doing. It's the coaching piece of it is something that I think I'm probably always going to have in my business plan. I don't ever see not giving that up, because now that I've been doing this for a number of years, I can actually see what I don't know. And I can actually get to the point where I'm helping some of the other people that were in the same position I was in. ShopFix has 4 meetings a year that are in person. They're in a suburb of Nashville, so in Tennessee. One of the meetings we just got done with, it's called Shop Hackers, is a extremely large gathering in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I think there was 1,900 people there. All the vendors, all the the food trucks and the barbecue and everything else that goes with a big event, but also a ton of the learning that goes with it. There's tons of breakout sessions and main speakers and keynote speakers and everything else that goes with that. From the training side of it, we meet with our tribe. We have a group of us that get together. It's always the same group and a coach. We get together once a week. And then we have kind of one-on-one coaching. I'm going to call it as needed, but it usually turns into about once a month. The reference points of this group are awesome. The ability to pick up your cell phone and call one of your tribe members and say, hey, what do you think of this? Is really paramount also. Otherwise, you're just kind of sitting here in your own little bubble, especially when you live in the middle of the woods. So,
right. And, we talked a little bit about this on the podcast that you joined us on the panel.
Yeah.
We talked about about these, specifically about the value of those coaches and whatnot. Did you enjoy? I don't know. I feel like the panels are a lot of fun, but I'm just. Did you enjoy being a part of the panel?
Yeah, it's always neat to talk to other shop owners and see where they've come from. Like I say, I've got a different path into automotive versus technician that took over a shop that, or a guy in his garage that started his own business, or somebody who's got 15 different shops. It's nice to have that piece that the variety to me is the great piece of the panels, things like that. It's also one of the nicest things about having a tribe is you have the 2-bay shop, you have the 10-bay shop, and then you have somebody that owns 6 different businesses. And it's,
Okay.
that's a whole different perspective at each one of those.
Right. Right. Have you found that within that tribe, you're like, hey, I like what that guy's doing. I want to start to model myself more like that person for now.
Yeah, you gravitate, and it's no different than, friend groups in your personal life. You gravitate towards people that have some like problems, if you want, or at least some guidance on some of the problems that you're having, as well as some of the successes.
And if you want to check out the panel that Kevin was a part of, that was episode 21. And we talked specifically in more detail about, how some coaching groups have tribes or, select or pods or 20 groups, and the benefits of being a part of that camaraderie. And the goal that we have at the Garage Grid Podcast is with those panels is to kind of have that casual conversation that you get to have with potentially new people at these large conferences with each other on these panels. And so I hope that when you were on that panel, not only were you just sharing your experiences, but it was beneficial for you to hear from Josiah and Mike as well on that panel. I'm hopeful that way. I'm not going to call you out on that. Without that's the case, I'll just take your nod as a yes. Right. Thank you. And so, but Kevin, I really appreciate you've been here. I've had a good time. Is there anything that you want to kind of also share that we haven't shared that I may have forgotten to ask, or think we covered everything and then some?
Yeah, it's kind of an everything and there's some. No, I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that I hope that if you're listening in, that you got some ideas on how to improve or what your perspective is on being an owner and what your primary roles are. And I hope that you actually continue on your journey with some of the insights that Kevin had to share with us. And by all means, continue to watch the Garage Grid Podcast. If you missed an episode because you didn't get notified, that's because you don't have that little notification bell subscribed to, right? So go fix that. And also one of the things that we're looking at doing, or we've been trying to do, and it's kind of slow growing, but I'm very interested in seeing whether or not people would be interested in being a part of the Facebook community that we started, specifically to continue the conversation after the panel or after these Origin and Impact Series conversations with each other. Inside of that, I know that a lot of you already have that in other groups, but they're not specifically about this podcast and these topics. So please join the Garage Grid Facebook community and jump in there. And by all means, ask questions and comments and share different thoughts with each other. Okay. With that said, Kevin, again, thank you. Everyone have a great day. And until next time on the Garage Grid Podcast, I'm Brad Hurlock, your host, also from AA Shop Marketing, a digital marketing company for auto repair shops. Thank you again for your time.